Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Noodle film review. Tonight we're looking at a horror film, a modern sort of classic film released by Second Sight, and it's called May. There, May. And it's about this young girl here, it's called May. Let's have a look at this edition. This is the collector's edition. Comes with a rigid box. Comes with the Blu-ray. It comes with a really nice booklet. Really cool booklet. Really nice. And I love the cover. Really cool. And it comes with a set of art cards, which I haven't opened yet. So that's the edition. Now this film, I remember seeing it when it came out, and it was a little bit different to a lot of horror films. Today it's kind of similar to some of today's sort of modern horror films like Smile and things like that, and maybe things like Pearl. But it's back in the day it was on its own, and it was really cool. And it's about this young girl, May, and when she was really young she had a real bad eye problem, and she's got a really lazy eye, which was always looking cross-eyed, and so she had to wear like a patch and stuff like this to try and treat her lazy eye. And all the other kids sort of didn't really befriend her. They thought she was like a pirate and all this sort of thing, and all this because she had like a patch on and all this. But she found it quite difficult to become friends, and she became a sort of a loner. And for one of her birthdays, her mother gave her this doll. It used to be hers, and it's in this glass case, and she doesn't want to take it out. She doesn't want her to take it out. She wants her just to keep it and sort of like look at it. And she sort of befriends this doll. She doesn't take it out the case, but she talks to it and sort of befriends it. And she sort of forms a sort of relationship with this doll. And as she's and we join her as she's growing a bit older, and she's really sort of become really kind of artistic with sewing and things like this. And she works in an animal hospital as a sort of like an assistant to like the surgeon there. So she does some sort of minor treatments to these animals and stuff like this. And she's been just getting on with her life, being like that. And she's never had sort of like a boyfriend or anything. She starts talking about it when she saw this guy on the bench once, and then she took her glasses off and her wonky eye sort of like went down there, and the guy pretty much scarpered. But she's on about, she was walking and she saw this other guy that she thought was perfect, and she sort of like really falling for him. And it's this young guy that works at the local sort of garage, and she sort of like not stalks him, but yeah, sort of stalks him, and she sort of like watches him when he's at work and when he's on his break, and then she sort of tries to get noticed by him, but he just doesn't take any notice of her whatsoever. And so she goes home and sews this red sort of like a top, which is, you know, quite a sexy sort of top. And then she sort of follows him to a cafe one day, and she's sort of like, again, trying to get his attention, but he's not paying any attention. She walks by him trying to walk all sort of sexy and stuff like this, but he's not interested whatsoever. And he sort of falls asleep. Now, before we go any further, she's got this obsession with his hands. Okay, she's absolutely obsessed with his hands. And he falls asleep on his at his table, and he's got his sort of arm like this, and she sort of walks over and sneaks over to him and starts putting her face into his hand, like he's almost like he's sort of caressing her face. And yeah, it's really bizarre. And he's asleep, he doesn't know, but then some of her hair sort of goes onto his face and sort of tickles him, and it wakes him up, and she sort of jumps back and falls over on the floor. and he asks you what she want. Is she okay? And so she sort of scarpers off. Um, so she sort of like scarpers off, and then we join her back at the um animal hospital, and she's made a friend there. And the girl there, you might recognise her. She starred in the Scary Movie 1 and 2. She sort of like befriends May, and May's doing all these really weird things. She's like cutting her own fingers with like scalpels and stuff like this. And her friends sort of like um trying really hard to befriend her, and May saying, "No, you've got a beautiful neck and all this sort of stuff." She seems to be noticing body parts on people, picking up on that, and so she starts to befriend this girl. And then one night she's back, she's at the laundrette, May's at the laundrette, and the guy she likes there, and he's out of washing detergent, and so she offers him some of hers, and again spills it all over him and all this. But they start getting chatting, and he starts chatting to her, and he said, "Do you want to we go outside and have a cigarette?" And he gives her a cigarette for the first time, and she tries smoking, or it's because she just wants to impress him. Anyway, afterwards they go back in and collect their clothes and stuff like that, and he they seem to be getting on okay. There's a little bit of an attraction going on there, and he says, "See you soon." So she heads back home, and she's like on cloud nine because she's spoken to him and he seems to like her, and he said, "We'll see you again soon." So she's taken that into her heart, and she sort of dances around, and when she's at work she's all happy and sort of like all this kind of thing. And at work, she comes across all these sort of strange, sort of bizarre people. One lad comes in saying that his dog came in the hospital one day with 4 legs and now he's only got 3, and all this sort of bizarre sort of things happening. Anyway, she then bumps into the lad again one day, and they go to the park for lunch, and they start chatting, and she starts telling him a really gory story about one of the animal hospital sort of things, which he's sort of taken back by. But to her, she was sort of smiling and laughing at it because she found it quite a sort of fascinating. But he was obviously shocked by it. But that doesn't stop them, and then they arrange to actually go out on a sort of date. And so once again, when they're out on the date, he's asking her, "Well, what were you doing that day at the cafe?" And she didn't want to tell him, but she's really, really embarrassed. And every time she sees him, she's forever trying to touch his hands, and that she's absolutely obsessed with the hands. She's obsessed with people's sort of best parts of their body. And that's what I'm going to tell you. So what is going to happen in this film? Is there a reason why she's like this? Is this going to concur into anything? Is she just a little bit strange, or has she got like an evil side? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of May? It's still fantastic today. It's right up there with films like Smile and things like that. It's a fantastic film. I think this came out either in the very late 90s or the early 2000s. And it's a really, really cool film. And this is a fantastic edition by Second Sight. The pluses of this edition: the transfer looks amazing, looks really, really cool, looks sharp, it's got natural grain in the picture, it's not overly coloured, it just looks really cool. The acting's superb. She's brilliant as May. She's very convincing because you kind of feel a bit sorry for her, and you don't as well because she's a little bit out there and a bit dangerous, I think, because she seems to be very fascinated with the macabre. It's a good story. It's an original story. Definitely for when it came out, it was like one of its sort of old kind. It was a really, really cool film. It came out the same sort of time as films like Ginger Snaps and things like that. So there was all these sort of teenage angst sort of films coming about. And I'm sure the guy who plays the main guy, I'm sure he's from Wrong Turn. I could be wrong, but it does look a bit like the guy that was in Wrong Turn. But yeah, really, really cool film. So I'm going to score May an awesome watch and give it an 8 out of 10. Really cool score for a great film. Highly recommend it. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It's a really cool film. It's so different and strange. Yeah, it may take a few viewings to really sort of get into it, but it's a character based film, and you sort of get absorbed into the characters, especially May and the guy. You're thinking, what's he letting himself in for? Is she a bit dangerous, or is she just innocent? And you know, because she's never had a boyfriend or anything, or is he gonna play on that? Is he gonna see her wonky eye? Because I forgot to tell you that she gets um contact lenses, and that makes her eyes sit straight along with her other one. So he doesn't know about her wonky sort of eye. If he discovers that, is that going to put him off? Is that going to make her turn? You need to really watch it and find out. 8 out of 10, May. Fantastic film. Guys, till my next video, please check out some more horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Pizzlewell, I am the Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House, and he called you Grandpa. And a massive shout out to my lad Lemon Lord. Take care of yourselves. Oh, and I hope you have a fantastic new year. See you soon, guys.